Hi guys, I'm Guritas, and today I'm going to be showing you guys some absolutely fantastic 4-1-4-1 custom tactics that could see a whole change in the direct passing meta. The 4-1-4-1 is absolutely one of the most underused formations in this game. The 4-3-2-1, the 3-4-2-1 and the 5-4-1 are definitely the formations at the forefront of this game's meta. And then you've got people that use the 4-2-2, the 4-4-2, the 4-2-3-1 sometimes. But 4-1-4-1 is essentially completely unused, which when you actually really think about it is quite odd considering how similarly formatted it is to a 5-4-1. It's essentially you've got that middle centre-back stepping up as more of a CDM, a passing option, opposed to a dedicated centre-back. The 4-1-4-1 doesn't play very nicely with the things that we naturally like to assign to these formations, like direct passing. Yeah, it just doesn't work with that standard formatting. However, with the way I've formatted this, it is a completely new approach, completely alien to what we think of as meta in this game. But the way this plays, the way you can send runners through on the wings, the way you can so easily hold the ball in the middle of the park to really pick the right passes is absolutely fantastic. It's such a different approach. I think people really just don't know how to defend against it. People are so conditioned to the direct passing and getting pinned back and then defending deep in their own half that having a formation where you're able to hold the ball, you're forced to push, and then you can send runners in behind. It's really, really difficult for the opponent to stop. It's totally different. It really makes this almost feel like a different game, but I'm having tons of success with it. So that's why I'm sharing it with you guys. Getting into the custom tactics, starting with the defensive style, we're just going to leave this on balanced. The defensive width is on 30. I'm honestly contemplating maybe even trying this on 25 like a 5-4-1, just because of how similar that defensive shape is. However, 30 is what I've been using and having success with, but by all means tweak this to your taste. The depth is on 60, a really nice spot to manually press in this game. Build-up play is balanced, and then the chance creation is possession. Now this really is kind of the hidden gem in this formation. The direct passing doesn't really work because when you're pinning the opponent back, a 4-1-4-1 doesn't really have enough attacking presence to offer enough in that final third. However, with the possession tactic, your build-ups generally come from a deeper position because you're not pinning the opponent back. And by having that triangle in the midfield with your two centre mids and your DM, it's so easy to hold the ball. You can trigger runners, and the moment you see a runner that your opponent hasn't picked up, you're able to send the long ball over the top to these players. My worry with the possession tactic is that if you triggered runs, they would often retreat if you didn't pass it to them soon, because I thought the idea with this is that they come short, which they do. However, if you do trigger a run, they do commit to the run, which is amazing. So you're able to hold the ball, and then when you've got a runner that hasn't been picked up, you can send them in, and they've got tons of space in behind the opponent's defence because you haven't pinned them in with the direct passing instruction. The offensive width is 65. This very much is to lend to this idea of sending in runners that haven't been picked up. We want our wingers, our left mid and right mid, really tight to the byline where they're isolated, not picked up by the opponent's defence. So when you are sending them in on a run, they are very much not picked up and they get clean through. On top of this, once you are in, there's lots of space in the middle because you stretch your opponent out so much with this high attacking width. Players in the box, we're going to have this on 6. This just enables the centre mids to kind of push up and get involved a little bit more. But 6 is honestly just a really sensible place to put your players in the box for any fullback formation. Corners and free kicks, I always leave this on 1. Honestly, in this game, I do not see any need to put these any higher. There's so many opportunities to score with this just on 1. And there's so many opportunities just to play a ball backwards and take like a volleyed power shot or a trivela. I'm going to do a video shortly on the volleyed power shots and just long shots in general because a few of you guys have requested that, and honestly, particularly from corners and free kicks, they're one of the most consistent ways that I actually score. It's just literally playing a far pass back and then utilising those power shots because they're so effective in this year's game. Next, we'll get into the player instructions. So we'll start with the striker. They are just going to be on stay central. This formation, because it is that sort of possession-based tactic, and then you're having to send runners, it's really important to send runners at the right time, so you have to rely on your skill on the controller to send them manually with this formation. If you're someone that really isn't good at that, then these probably aren't the right sort of tactics for you. You need to be able to send runs manually with the L1 button, calling plays short with the R1 button, and also even utilising player locks, although that's not necessary for this to be effective. That is just a cherry on top of the cake if you can do those. The main purpose of this stay central instruction is that you get in behind so frequently with your wide man in this formation. You want your main man up top to always be there in the middle of the park. You don't want him drifting short to you or going to the back post. You want him there in the middle, present for crosses, present for cutbacks. Basically anything you're sending into that box, you want this man in there. For your left midfielder and your right midfielder, they are both just going to be on comeback on defence. Once again, I think it's really, really effective in this formation to send the runners manually. So once again, we don't want to assign a getting behind instruction or anything like that, because we want to be choosing those moments at which they do make those runs. The comeback on defence instruction is purely there to get numbers back, to help with the defensive support. Getting behind not necessary, and also even getting to the box for cross. Really didn't feel the need for it in this formation. They just seemed to really get involved. Like, if you look at this clip here, I was playing Cruyff as the left midfielder, and look how central he actually comes here with the chance. He really tucks in, scores a goal, so it really just didn't feel necessary for whatever reason. I think probably because that player's in the box instruction is on 6, they're just naturally pushed into the box, and they do tuck in as well, so not necessary for this one. Both of your centre midfielders are going to be unbalanced and cover centre. The cover centre instruction is so the CDM doesn't get isolated when your opponent is counter-attacking. You need more numbers in the middle of the park to break up the play. In this formation, you've only got a left mid, a striker and a right mid as obvious attacking players. So the balanced instruction is there so the centre mids get more involved in those attacks. It's really nice how in this formation, because you get in so frequently with your left mid and right mid, with them being unbalanced as the centre mids, they naturally push up more, and they're always there as a cutback option. So when you've got through with that left mid or right mid, your centre mids have pushed up with them, they're there as a cutback option, and then you've got a Trivela threat then. It's good for your left mid and right mid to be able to Trivela, because that is a very useful mechanic in this game, but to be honest, so long as one or the other can do it, then you've got a Trivela threat, and it's really, really effective in this game for your centre mids to be those players, because they push up with the wingers, they're always there as that cutback option, and generally they've just got more space to do them then. For your centre defensive midfielder, they're going to be on stay back while attacking and cover centre. This player's role is to be your anchor in the midfield and that safe passing option that you can always rely on to hold the ball while you're trying to find the right runner to send through. This player really is vital in how this formation works, so it's really important that you do have them on the stay back instruction, because if they're venturing forward as well, you really lose everything that gives this formation such strength. So it's really important you have them on stay back, really important they're on cover centre as well, just sitting in the hole, clearing up. For your left back and your right back, they're both going to be on stay back while attacking. That is very deceiving with how this formation works, because with the possession, chance creation tactic on, they naturally push up to the left mid and right mid to give them a passing option. That's what's in the nature of the possession tactic. You're always going to have players coming short, so you've always got that safe passing option. So when you have the ball with your wingers, these wingbacks push forward as a passing option, and therefore you can send them on a run manually with the L1 button, or you can play a 1-2 with them. So it's really, really easy to link them into the interplay down the wing and send them on runs. So they actually get a lot more involved than a stay back instruction would suggest. The reason I put them on stay back is mainly so they weren't just overcommitting all the time and then leave myself with just 2 defenders back. So stay back, so it's a little bit more conservative, but realistically, they get very, very involved. The rest of the team being the 2 centre-backs and the goalkeeper, these are all just on the default. The goalkeeper, as always, if you like your comes for crosses and sweeper keeper, go for it, but I personally just leave this unbalanced. Next, we'll talk about what sort of players are best to use to get the most out of the formation. Not too much of a blueprint with this one, it's all kind of what you would expect, but I'll give you a quick run through of my food for thought on this one. Starting with the striker. So the striker, it's really important they can pretty much do everything, because they're on their own a lot of the time and you need to be able to manoeuvre with them. So 5-star skills, if you use skills, are absolute must. Decent weak foot as well. I wouldn't go any lower than 4 where the weak foot's concerned, because again, being very central, being the only striker, they're very much going to have to be able to shoot on both feet. You never really know which way the chances are going to fall to them. Some physicality does help. I really like Mane because he has decent base strength and he can jump and head the ball as well. He pretty much can do everything. You can use this guy anywhere in the attacking third, and he works super, super nicely as a striker, particularly with how he can manoeuvre but still have that physicality as well. It just works really nicely. So go for the kind of most complete player that you can get your hands on for this one. With your left midfielder and right midfielder, bags of pace is really helpful. Players like your Alawairans are going to be absolute demons in this setup. I'm personally using Cruyff and Di Maria. I haven't actually tried Di Maria in this setup yet, but with him being a left-footed 5-star skiller, I want to try him on the left midfield spot. Good crossing is really helpful. Decent stamina is also helpful, just because they are going to be retreating back on the defence as well. But essentially, you just want pace demons in this, and I do find left foot on the left, right foot on the right is still of preference. With the two centre midfielders, I generally go for a true box-to-box, and that is Paqueta in this case. And then for the other centre mid, I go for someone that's more of an attacker, but still has some defensive competence. So kind of like an Nkunku, this Musiala card. You know, players like that are a really nice secondary centre mid. I do favour left foot on the left, right foot on the right here as well, purely for the Trivela threat, so I would go for the outside of the foot shot on both. They need some defensive competence to break up the midfield play to make this robust, but also it's really important they're very good going forward as well. So you need really complete players here. Paqueta and Musiala are a fantastic dynamic between the two of them, but I would definitely go for one that is more of a true attacker, one that's more of a true box-to-box. It's very important you don't skimp on these two positions because these two players do get very, very involved in the attacks. They're going to be doing skill moves, working the ball into the box. They're going to be putting balls across, sometimes even to the other centre mid who will have committed into the box to get a shot on goal. So do not sleep on these positions. It's actually really important in those attacks. For the centre defensive midfielder, it's really nice to have a big man here, but I also do like a ball player as well. Someone like Tonali is a really good kind of in-between of that because he's fast, he's got that physicality and aggression, great base defensive stats, but he's also just got great ability to turn, you know, the 93 agility, the 95 balance, his good base passing stats, and the 4-4 I really value in this position as well, because if someone's putting on a press, you've played that ball back to that player, it's really nice for them to actually be able to move, whereas someone like a Vieira sometimes might get caught out with like a loose pass, so someone like a Tonali is absolutely fantastic. Go for your preference here, but I do find a bit more of a ball player is a real joy with how this formation plays. For your left back and your right back, I'm using Davies and Meunier in this setup. Their attacking presence going forward isn't too necessary. I think you just need them to be very defensively competent and very fast. That seems to be what works best with this and with what's kind of demanded of them in this setup. For your centre backs, I'm just going to be a broken record here. You want fast, strong, lengthy centre backs that are as high calibre as possible, who are going to give you the most favourable defensive animations in game. Van Dijk is absolutely exemplary of this. That Team of the Season Delict card. I'm yet to try this Bremer, but I think he looks like an absolute demon, so I'm looking forward to trying him out as well. Whatever you do, just get the best that you can get for your centre backs. As for your goalkeeper, whoever works, do not ever take out a working goalkeeper. I've done it recently and I regret it every time. When you find one that works, hold on to them like there's no tomorrow. That is the 4-1-4-1, guys. It's a very different approach to get this formation working. However, I absolutely love this style of play. With direct passing, you naturally pin the opponent back, and by doing that, it kind of forces a park the bus game out of your opponent, and it's not even necessarily their fault. The way you're playing naturally pins them back. So if you don't like that style, then this is going to be way better. The only thing with this is that you do have to be able to be competent and confident enough to work the ball against your opponent's press, because it won't pin them back. They'll be there very present in the midfield. So you have to be able to work around that. But if you can do that, the reward of that is you can absolutely send runners into tons of space in behind their defence, which for me, I absolutely love. But it is a bit of give and take, so it kind of depends on your style of game, how confident you feel working around an opponent's press. But for me, I absolutely love it. If you do enjoy the custom tactics, guys, I will link my custom tactics playlist in the description below for you guys to check out. If you made it this far in the video, as always, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.